Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Chicago PD rumors about Jon Seda. Antonio Dawson, return addressed. I love the show. Chicago PD rumors about Jon Seda returning to the show have been around for a while. Jon played Detective Antonio Dawson for the first 6 seasons, exiting the show after the season 7 premiere. Antonio was a complicated character, but with all the drama surrounding him, the writers were just about out of room to expand him. Years later, Chicago PD fans still miss Antonio, especially with more cast turnover in recent seasons. The possibility of Jon returning to play Antonio again is an interesting one. Intelligence only has one detective, the recently promoted Detective Kim Burgess, so the team has space. And the show that Jon has been on for a few years, La Brea, has ended, possibly freeing him up to star in a new show or a very familiar one. Jon Seda speaks about returning to play Antonio Dawson on Chicago PD. So, is Jon Seda interested in playing Detective Antonio Dawson again? It sure sounds like he is. Well, it's been a few years already, huh? I love the show. It was just such an amazing time and just such a great show to be a part of. I think it was really the first of its kind with the spin-offs and all that, Jon Seda revealed in a new interview. He has a positive opinion of the show he was on for over 6 years. So it was just an honor and I was just thankful to be a part of it. I love the character, but things change, things evolve, and shows change and for whatever reason, go in different directions. That's where the show went, Jon elaborated in the interview. But how about a direct answer about possibly returning to the Chicago PD cast? Jon has a very succinct response. Antonio is still alive, he didn't die. I think someone said there was an episode where the sister mentioned he was doing well in Puerto Rico. So look, as long as the show is still going, I'm willing at any time. Antonio is still alive. If they ever wanted me to come back for an episode, or come back, or whatever, I'd be totally up for it. I've learned to never say never, Jon revealed. That's a pretty positive answer. He sounds very open to a One Chicago return, especially if the producers invite him back. That could be a nice twist if the people in charge can work out the details. Below is one of Jon's final scenes on the Chicago PD cast. More news from the One Chicago shows. A One Chicago Ladies' Night happened recently. The women from Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, and Chicago PD got together for some fun. A Chicago PD wedding is on the horizon. A cast member teased what the writers have planned for later in season 12. The buzz in the Windy City has never been louder. Rumors are swirling once again about Jon Seda's potential return to Chicago PD, and fans are hanging on to every word. Seda, who played the beloved Antonio Dawson, has long been a fan favorite, and the speculation surrounding his possible comeback has reached a fever pitch. Could it finally be happening? Will Antonio Dawson walk through the doors of the intelligence unit once more? The tease that started it all. Jon Seda recently set the fandom ablaze with a simple but powerful statement during a fan event. I love the show. The moment those 4 words left his mouth, social media exploded. Was it just a nostalgic nod to his time in the One Chicago universe, or was it a carefully placed hint at what's to come? Adding fuel to the fire, Seda took to Instagram to post a throwback photo of Antonio with Hank Voight, Jason Begg, captioning it, "Some bonds never break." Within minutes, the comments section was flooded with fans pleading for his return, with many pointing out how his departure never quite felt final. Unfinished business. When Antonio Dawson left Chicago PD in season 6, it was under heartbreaking circumstances. Struggling with addiction and personal demons, he quietly exited, leaving fans devastated. While his departure was open-ended, it left a sense of unfinished business. Did Antonio ever fully recover? Could he have found a new sense of purpose outside the force? And more importantly, could Voight be calling in a favor to bring him back into the fold? The cast and crew weigh in. Current Chicago PD cast members have been careful not to reveal too much, but some recent comments suggest the door isn't fully closed on Seda's return. LaRoyce Hawkins Atwater recently teased in an interview, "One thing about intelligence, no one's ever really gone." Even showrunner Gwen Saigon played coy when asked about the possibility of Antonio making a comeback. "We love Jon, and Antonio will always be part of this universe," she said with a knowing smile. "There's always room for a good story. A perfect timing for a comeback." With Jessa Lee Soffer, Halstead, having recently exited, the intelligence unit has been feeling a void. And let's be honest, Voight could use someone he trusts back in the mix. Could Antonio be the one to bring stability to the squad during a turbulent time? A behind-the-scenes source hinted at major shakeups coming to Season 12, and some insiders suggest that a familiar face could be part of the shift. If Chicago PD wants to bring back a character with history, gravitas, and a built-in emotional connection, Antonio Dawson is the perfect choice. What would Antonio's story look like? If Antonio were to return, how would it happen? One possibility is that Voight, recognizing the need for an experienced detective who understands his methods, reaches out to Antonio for help on a particularly sensitive case. After years away, Antonio may have rebuilt his life, but something about this case pulls him back in. Another theory making the rounds online is that Antonio's return could be tied to his family. His sister, Gabriella Dawson, Monica Raymond, has been mentioned sporadically in Chicago Fire, and it's possible that a family emergency could bring him back to town and straight into the orbit of his old team. And then there's the ever-popular theory that Antonio never truly left law enforcement. Perhaps he's been working off the grid, operating in a role similar to what Halstead was rumored to be doing in Bolivia. Maybe he returns with new information on a high-profile case that only intelligence can handle. Fan reactions: hopeful but cautious. The Chicago PD fandom is divided between cautious optimism and full-on excitement. While some are nervous about getting their hopes up only to be disappointed, others are convinced that Antonio's return is inevitable. "I've never stopped hoping," one fan tweeted. "Antonio was the heart of the team, and we need him back more than ever." Another wrote, "I won't believe it until I see it, but if Jon Seda is even considering it, I'm all in." Even Seda's former Chicago PD co-stars have subtly encouraged the excitement. Marina Squarciati, Burgess, recently liked a tweet about Antonio Dawson's potential return, sending fans into a frenzy. The final word: is it happening? At this point, there's no official confirmation from NBC, but there's certainly enough smoke to suggest a fire might be burning behind the scenes. Whether it's just nostalgia talking or actual negotiations in the works, one thing is clear: Jon Seda still has immense love for Chicago PD. And as long as there's love, there's hope. Will we see Antonio Dawson back in action? Only time will tell, but for now, fans can continue speculating, theorizing, and hoping that their favorite detective will walk through those intelligence doors once more.